His name is Mr. Sendil Pandian. He is the head of the student facilitation team at GRE Edge. Now, why do we have him here is he's a very good expert in the GRE exam, in training the GRE for the GRE, and he has been with us for the past 7 years. And he is here with us, and he has also successfully helped students to secure 165 plus. More than 195 students have secured 165 plus in their GRE verbal section. So for how many of you here 165 plus in the GRE verbal section? For how many of you here it is a dream score? Massive, says Ravindra. Ranjani also says yes. Okay, so here we have a person who has helped so many people's dream to, he has helped so many students to realize their dreams. Okay, so now he is with you, he is with us, and he is also going to help you. So how many of you feel really happy and blessed for this? Okay, so I am going to pass on this mic to him in a couple of minutes, within 1 or 2 minutes. Before that, I want to know how many of you understand GRE Edge and the GRE exam also. Now, what is the GRE exam, guys? It is an aptitude test, says Anand. Okay, this GRE is, the abbreviation of GRE is Graduate Record Examination, and this is an admission requirement test. Most US universities admit students into them based on their GRE scores, and this is also an online adaptive skill-based test. You should definitely develop certain skills so that you will be able to master the GRE exam and you will be able to get a great GRE score. And who are we? We, GRE Edge, we are an online academy. We train students, we give students personalized training, and we help them to manage their GRE preparation and get a great GRE score. We have a lot of programs, and few of those programs are workshop based. Workshop based as in you have experts who guide you and who also help you to reach your target score, like Mr. Sendil Pandian. And over to Sendil Pandian sir now. He'll be interacting with you. This session is mostly going to be about sentence equivalence and text completion section. If you are not aware about what these are, I'll just give you a slight introduction. The GRE exam has 2 sections. The one is your GRE verbal reasoning section. The other is your GRE quantitative reasoning section. In the verbal reasoning section alone, you have these 3 types of questions which you see on the screen. One is the sentence equivalence section, a type of question where you are given a blank. Followed by that, you will have 6 options. So these 6 options would appear to be very similar in meaning. Out of these 6 options, you are required to choose 2 options and fill those blanks. The condition is, in both the cases, you shouldn't change the meaning of the sentence. So that is the challenge. In text completion, you are given 2 blanks or maximum 3 blanks, and you have to choose from the options. In case of 2 blanks, you will have 6 options, and in case of 3 blanks, you will have 9 options. You have to choose 2 or 3 options, and only if you get both the blanks right or all the 3 blanks right, you get a mark for that question. So in order to score in that section, you have to get all the options right. Right? And the third one is the reading comprehension section. The reading comprehension section is where you have passages and you also read the passage, comprehend the passage in order to answer the questions following the passage. Is it clear? So these are the three sections. Since this is a workshop, we won't be able to cover the 100% of a GRE verbal pattern, or we won't be able to cover the entire thing. But we will help you to help you to practice and also learn what is a part of what should you do to answer this sentence equivalence and text completion. What skills you have to develop to answer these questions. Okay, so I can definitely hear you all thinking, okay, I've not come here to listen to you, Mano. I have come here to listen to Sendil sir. I can hear that. So I'm passing it on to Sendil sir.
Thanks, Mano. Guys, are you able to hear me? I'm Senthil here. Very good. Okay, so before I share my experience, I just want to know from you, have you answered text completion or sentence equivalent question before? I asked this question before because so many of you said that you just started. How many of you have answered? So I got so many answers, yes, and some of them are no. Okay, the people those who answered yes, can you tell me what are the skills required, or what are the things required for answering text completion and sentence equivalent questions? Okay, I got Ashish, very fast vocabulary, words, very good. Anything else? Good understanding of words, context, okay, framing the sentence, synonyms, logical thinking. Okay, if you don't know, Meena, don't worry, you'll just listen. Grammar, speed at which they can answer, very good. Different meaning of the words, okay. Okay, very good. I think you've covered almost all the skills required. Excellent, very good. So, very good. So here is my understanding of this. So here is the, so the first skill required is that ability to understand and spot direction or tone indicators and understand logical flow of the discussion. So it might sound very difficult. I'll explain. See, what I mean by tone indicator is that sometimes a sentence introduces a condition. For example, if you attend this workshop, you will know how to answer text completion questions. So this is a conditional sentence. If. So that is a condition, right? Tone is, yes, of course, deep. Tone is positive and negative. I'll come back. So condition is one indicator, one direction. Then there are contrast. Although he has done his work, although he has prepared well, he couldn't get a good score. It's a contrast. He has done something, but he has not achieved what it is result. Contrast. Then there are causal. He has done the workshop, he has attended everything, and he got a good score. It's a causal result of that. So these are all certain indicators that are there in a given sentence, indicative words. If you identify those words, you will be able to understand the flow of the discussion. So what does the author tries to convey in this sentence, in this passage? So do you understand what I mean by spotting direction and tone indicators? Tone is it positive or negative? Which tone that which the one that he talks about? Do you understand this point? Any questions on this? So the first skill is that ability to understand and spot direction or tone indicators and understand the logical flow of the discussions. Once you get that, this is a complete structure of the given sentence. Once you get that, you will be able to answer the question. Do you understand this point? Yeah, I'll come to that example. I'll give you examples. I'm going to give you examples. But you get an idea what it is. Right? Then second thing is that what is required is a knowledge of rarely used sentence structures. Yeah, Ashish, I'll give you an example. That's what I'm going to do in the subsequent slides. I'll give you an example. Knowledge of rarely used sentence structures. for example, I can use a condition. If you had come, you would have got it. A simple, often used structure. The same can be written, had you come, I would have given. Instead of if, I can put had. Both are same. Both means the same. But instead of using if, which is often used, I can put had I or had you. So this kind of rarely used structures are used, okay, in the text completion and sentence equivalent questions. Okay. Then knowledge of words, of course. So many of you have said that. And knowledge of secondary meanings of some of the words, not all the words. Some of the words which are often used in the secondary meaning. For example, the word disinterested. People might think that, okay, it's an opposite of interested. Disinterested, the moment you heard this word, yeah, dip, I think your vocabulary is very good. Unbiased, it means unbiased, disinterested, right? So such words are often used. So secondary meaning or not often used, secondary meanings of the words, and then logical reasoning. So these are the 4 skills required for answering text completion and sentence equivalence. Do you understand? Now what I'm going to do is, I'll take example questions and then demonstrate how this skill is required. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, here's a question for you. Can you answer this question? Okay. Okay, Ranjani is pathetic. Kiran say veracious. Okay, quite a many different answers. Okay, can you give me reason why you chose this? Or anybody wants to know the meaning of the word? Do you know the meaning of all the words? Do you know the meaning of all the words? No. Shall I give you the meanings and give you a chance to answer? Okay, so many no's. Okay, so here are the meanings. So what do we want? First of all, to answer questions, we need knowledge of words. Right? That's a skill that I told you about. You need to have a good knowledge of words. So if I don't know a word, I miss a chance to understand, even if I understand the structure. Right? Am I right? So knowledge of words is crucial. There are questions which not have very difficult word. Now tell me, what is the answer? Wow, great! I'm getting some very good responses. Okay, Dheeraj, it's very good. You got the right one. Okay. So different answers. Can you give me reasons also? Just give me a quick reason why you select this choice. Why do you select the choice? Why do you say so? Do you have any reason to support? It sounds positive. What is the clue for that? Ankit. Science represents truth, so it is veracious. Okay. Because scientists are so bright, so you have selected the option A. Sounds positive. Okay. Let's look at it. I'll just read it. For most half of the century, half of the 19th century, science at the university was in the state. Is there any need, if that is science, the scientist should be bright always? Is there any need that it should be positive always? Is there a clue there? Absolutely no. Why can't pathetic? Okay, why can't scintillating, as people say, is science? But is there a evidence? Actually, this question is not complete. Okay, this is not a complete question. The indicator is missing here. First ability I talked about, the indicator is missing. Okay, I'll give you the actual question. So here is the question. Here is the complete question. Okay, so I just wanted to make you aware that every question has an indicator, either a direction indicator or a tone indicator, and we need to depend on that to answer. We can't go by assumptions just because science it is positive, just because it is scientist, it is related to scientists, it is positive. Can't be. Now tell me what is the answer and give me reason. Okay, I want reasons. I'm getting so many answers. Give me reasons also. Despite its contrast, very good. Luminaries have negative meaning. Luminary is a positive term. Literary luminaries means very popular personalities. Okay. Despite having luminaries. Yes, correct. Okay. See. Yeah, I'm getting good response from you. Very good, Urja. Despite makes it negative. Very good, Dheeraj. Okay, so the answer. Okay, before we go to the answer, let me read and explain this question and then tell you why this is the answer. For most of the half of the 19th century, time, 19th century, 20th century, just ignore that. Science at the university was in a particular state. So we need to find out what state it is. Where is the clue? Where is the clue? Despite the presence of numerous luminaries, in spite of, even though we have a number of luminaries, number of popular personalities, in spite of having number of popular personalities, science at the university was in a particular state. So do you understand the contrast? It's a contrast indicator. Right? Do you understand the contrast? Yes. So we have popular personalities, so many personalities. In spite of that, science is at a particular state. What is the answer then? So all the positive terms are eliminated. Definitely not the option A. May not be option E. Then what is it? Can I say controversial? Is there a clue to say that there is a controversy involved? We should always go by the clue. No clue at all. Is there a clue to say that incidentally? No. So the answer is pathetic. Because you have popular personalities, so many well-known personalities, in spite of that, the science at the state, science in the university was not in a state that is expected. So then, if you have everything and it is not happening, what do you say? The result is pathetic. Am I right? So the answer is B. Yeah, it is an extreme word. Is there any other better word perfectly fits here? No. Correct? Okay. So what we need here? Knowledge of words. And then what do we need here? We need to identify the indicator. And that makes the whole understanding of the sentence. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? Yes. Shall we move on to the next question? So here is the next question. This time I have given the actual question, don't worry.
Okay, the governor.
Here is the next question. Okay, do you want to know the meaning of any of the words? Again, vocabulary. Here are the words I have given. Okay, so the meaning is given. Okay. So can you give me reasons why your answers? So many answers, so many different answers. Can you give me reason why? Why this answer is right? Why not the other? Okay. Okay, what is epitome? Epitome is a perfect example, perfect example of something. Right, very good. Okay, so now what is required here in this sentence? Where do you get struck? What is stumbling block? I know the meaning of all the words, right? And there is a indicator, however, which introduces contrast. So that is an indicator that introduces contrast. So then what is the nether? What is the problem? What is the first sentence? The media once portrayed the governor as nothing but ineffective. What's the meaning of the part? What's the meaning of that phrase? The media portrayed somebody as anything but ineffective. Does it say that he is effective or ineffective? Is it negative or positive? Is the term negative or positive? Okay. Okay. So I got both answers, both positive, both 50% positive, 50% negative. Okay, I'll give you one more simple example. I like all colors but red. What does it mean? I like all colors but red. So what does it mean? Do I like red or not? Okay, it's clear. I don't like red. That's the meaning, right? I like all colors but red. It's an exception. Other than red, I like except red, I like all colors. So that's the meaning, right? Apply that here. The media once portrayed the governor as anything but ineffective. So what's the meaning? Is it positive or negative? What's the meaning? Does it portray the governor as effective or ineffective? I like all colors but red. That means I don't like red. The media portrayed governor as anything but ineffective. So it portrayed him as effective. Okay? Do you understand? So this is it's very rarely used structure. Right, Kiran? It is confusing. It's rarely used structure. But if you remember this part, I like everything but. If you use this and then apply. The media once portrayed the governor, I'll explain again, as anything but ineffective. That means the media portrayed him as a very powerful person, very effective person. It doesn't ever presented him as an ineffective personnel. It never portrayed. As in, I like all colors but red. Exception to the red. I don't like red. That's the meaning. So the media portrayed him as anything. So it portrayed different things but ineffective. So never ever media projected him as ineffective. That's the meaning. Hope you got it. Ankit, do you understand? Okay. Shiva, do you understand? Do you understand this? Portrayed as effective. Okay. Okay, please repeat. Hey, listen to this simple one. I like everything but. I like all colors but red. I like all sweets but halwa. Okay. So that means I don't like that. Similarly, the media portrayed him as everything except ineffective. So the meaning of the word but is except. Okay, do you get it? Yeah, good then. So this is a very rarely used structure, but if you learn this now, you will be able to answer these questions. Am I right? So that is the ability that we need to develop here. Okay, we'll come to that answer. We'll come to the answer. Then what is the answer now? The media portrayed the governor as anything but ineffective. It portrayed him as effective. That's what it directly means. They now, however, they refers what? Media or the governor? Media. However, there is a contrast. Make her out to be the epitome of. So, however, introduces a contrast. In the past, media portrayed him as effective. However, they now make her out to be what? Now the question. So what is the word? Is it a positive word or a negative word? Negative word, absolutely. How many negative words are there now? 2. Okay, which one is the right answer then? Is it egoism or faithlessness? What is the answer? Okay, so many says faithlessness is the answer. Why not egoism? Why not? Why not? Why not? Apply the reason. Why? Where is a clue? Where is a clue to prove that egoism is discussed? Have we ever discussed egoism in the sentence? No. Don't explain out of the context. Don't think of clue out of the context. We are talking about ineffectiveness. And what is fecklessness? Lack of initiative. If the lack of initiative leads to ineffectiveness. So fecklessness is a better answer. Not egoism. Ineffectiveness is because if you don't initiate, if you don't do things, ineffectiveness will be there. Why not egoism? Egoism, a person who is egoistic can be effective. But a person lacks strength and a person lacks initiation cannot be effective. Very good, Ravindra. Congrats. Do you understand? So what is required here? We'll go back to that. Epitome is a perfect example. So now what we want is, we discussed 3 skills now. Learning, knowing the words, knowledge of words, indicators, whether it is contrast or condition or causal, is it positive or negative, we need to get those indicators and answer. Right? And then rarely used structures. Contrast is opposite. Okay? Okay, shall we move on to the next question? Yes. So this is a sentence equivalent question. This is a sentence equivalent question. You need to give me 2 answers. Okay, answer for the previous question is fecklessness. Wow, Neha, you got the answer very well, very good. Your answer is correct. Okay, Sugash, you give me two answers. Give me two answers, Sugash. Manik, give me two answers. Because this is a sentence equivalent question, you need to give me two answers. Okay. Shraddha, your answer is good, correct. Your answer is not right. Okay, Sanjay, give me both answers in one go. Convoluted, what does it mean? Convoluted means very complex, difficult to understand. Okay, Jairam, no, that's not the answer. Sanjay, your answer is correct. Okay. Okay, shall we see this question now? Shall I explain why a particular answer given is right, why not the other? Okay. Shall I do that? Ankat, your answer is correct. See, I'm reading only the correct answers. I'm getting so many responses. In the workshop, when we do it, we have very limited number of students. We'll be able to focus on everybody's answer. Okay, I wish I want to answer your questions. I want to take all your answers. Sorry, I'm not able to do it. But now you listen to me why this answer is right, why not the other. Okay. So a misconception frequently held by novice writer is that sentence structure mirrors thought. Okay. So here, that's a colon. What is the use of colon? What does it signify? Can anyone tell me? What does it mean? Ankit, I think your preparation is good, man. Same idea. Thought extended, very good. To expand, Ashish, very good. Very good. Same direction, right? It's not, okay, it's a, you are explaining in detail, or you are giving an example, or you are adding a detail. That's what the colon do. That's what the colon for. So you give a colon to give an example. Give a colon to give details. Right? So a misconception frequently held by the novice writers is that sentence structure mirrors thoughts. So what does they believe? They believe that if sentence structure, the way that you write, tells you how thoughtful the writing is, or how thoughtful the writing or how thoughtful the writing is. The more convoluted the structure, the more complex the structure, the more dense the ideas. So the first part explains, the first part gives a clue. The more complex the structure, the more complex the ideas, right? Because that's what explains in the first part of the sentence. So this colon, if you send the colon, you are able to answer. Right. Now, having said that, what is the word that explains? What is the word that we choose? We need to choose two words to indicate complex. The more convoluted the structure, the more dense the ideas. What are all the words? The first word is complicated. Yeah, complex. It means complex. So that is one of the answers. So many of you have given the answers. Right. That's the right answer. Option A, complicated. What is the other answer? What is the other answer? Is it E, inconsequential? What do you mean by inconsequential? No value, no impact. Is it C, essential? We are looking for a word which means complex. No, it is not. Then what is the answer? Is there any other option? Is it engaged? There is a difference between engaged and complex. Something engaged means something very interesting. It need not necessarily be very complex. Is it fanciful? No, it's not fanciful. Fanciful is something imaginary. It need not necessarily be complex. A simple simply stated thing can be very fanciful. The idea is fanciful. Then what is the left out? F, involved. What's the meaning of the word involved? What is the meaning of the word involved? Can anyone tell me? Engaged, engrossed, participating. You are involved in something. But how come participated, engaged can be an answer for complicated? How come it is a synonym for that? There is one more meaning for the word involved. The secondary meaning of the word involved means complex. Ashish also has the same doubt. Good, Ashish. So the word involved means, one more meaning of the word is that complex, involved structure. That means the structure that is not participating, it's a complex structure. Very involved means not only engaged, it also means very difficult to understand, complex. It is used as in the secondary meaning of the word. Okay? I'll give you one more example that I've seen. What is the meaning of the word clerical? I asked you, why not B? Why not E? I think I explained. E, engaged means you are interested. It's very interesting. So engaged. It's not complex. Okay, I asked you a question. What is clerical? What's the meaning of the word clerical? Related to clerk? The work related to clerk. Clerical work. Counting, accounting. Am I right? Yeah, related to office. But it also means related to clergy. Clergy. There is a word clergy. Clergymen. Churchmen. Right? C-L-E-R-G-Y. Clergy. The adjective for the word clergy is clerical. Okay, so this word is used in that meaning in a question. So there are certain words, a handful of words, which are often used in the secondary meaning of the word. It looks very simple, so we eliminate it, but no other choice will fit in. Then if you go and think over, you will find out, yeah, it has another meaning. So when you learn words, and especially when you practice questions, if you come across such words, please make note of them. Right? So this is also a skill required. When you learn words, don't stop at learning the primary meaning of the word. For some words you need to learn secondary meanings. It's not always, so don't overdo it. Then you put a lot of effort. There are a few words, like I shared, which are often used. If you start answering questions, if you do more questions, you will get that. No, if you do not have secondary meaning, leave it. Why do I bother about it? Okay? So Dilip Babu asked me, why not E? Inconsequential, nowhere related, Dilip Babu, because inconsequential means it is of no effect. It is of no result. Trivial. And what we want is complex. Okay, Prashant, why not fanciful? Fanciful is imaginary, highly imaginary. So that doesn't fit here. So do you understand the point that I said? What we require is knowledge of words, not only knowledge of words, sometimes you need to know the secondary meanings of the word. And you need to understand the indicators, the flow of that. And then you need to know rarely used structures, like what I said, I like but. Okay? So there's one more thing that I wanted to tell you. Of all that, if you go for answering level 4, level 5 questions, even level 3, difficulty level of the question, if the level of the question, level of the difficulty increases, it also tests one more, your reasoning. Okay, it also tests your reasoning. We'll see one more question. The answer for this question, Anushri, complicated and involved. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. So So this is a double blank question. The first three choices are for the first blank. The choices in blue color are for the second blank. Okay? Okay, it will come. It's a double blank question. First three choices are for the first blank. The next three choices are for the second blank. Yeah, are you able to see it now? Are you able to get the question? Yes, very good. See, this is a question requires reasoning, logical reasoning. It doesn't require anything else. Maybe knowledge of words. If you don't know any of the word, you ask me, I'll explain. When you give answers, give me both answers. Okay? If your answer is right, I'll tell you your answer is right. If your answer is not right, I will not tell you. I'll just look for the correct answer and tell you. Okay? Because of numbers, not because of anything else. I'm getting so many answers. Okay, please bear with me. Okay, Ranjani asked me, what is the meaning of the word inimical? Inimical means hostile, not friendly. Kishore, suffrage means it's a name of the organization. You need not know about it. Just leave it. Undermines means rate it very low or prove it wrong. That's correct. Prove it wrong. Undermines means prove it wrong. Okay. No. Still I haven't got the right answer so far. So far no correct answers. Pay attention to the details given. Okay, I got Krishna, your answer is right. You just tell me what is the reason. Krishna and Kant. Give me both the answers so that I'll be able to. What's the meaning of the word inimical? Hostile, unfriendly. Okay, so as I said in the beginning, this question requires reasoning. How do we get that reasoning? You pay attention to the detail, focus, nothing else. I'll explain to you now. Please listen to me. If you listen, don't focus on answering the question. Please listen to me. Okay, Srikanth, your answer is right. Okay. Answer is right. Please listen to me. The activist energetic work in the service of both women's suffrage and the temperance movement. There's no need to know these movements' name. The activist energetic work in the service of both A and the B movement. Let's call it women's suffrage and temperance movement. Two movements in the late 19th century. So that is the clue. That is the only clue available. Activist energetic work in the service of both this movement and that in the late 19th century. Dash the assertion. Is it undermines, supports, or underscore? What is the meaning of the word undermine? Prove it wrong. It proves wrong something. Support. Yeah, weaken. Undermines, weaken. Support. Underscore emphasizes. Asserts strongly. Right? So, there are two positives. Undermines is prove it wrong. Support is giving a support. Underscore is extreme emphasis. Whether is it negative, positive, or extreme positive, we need to find out. Okay. What it undermines or what it supports. The two movements, we are talking about the two movements. The two movements were what? Are they diffuse? Are they spread everywhere and no powerful spread? Inimical, hostile, predominant, very popular, very significant. Which is the right answer? So what is the clue that we have? As I said, the activist energetic work in the service of both this and that. That is the only clue. Right? So if these two, if activists in one group are also participating effectively, energetically in another movement, right? So then what do you understand from that? What do you gain from that? Does it support, okay, let's take the word support. Does it support that two movements were diffuse, spread everywhere? Just because activities or the people participated in this activity and that, does it mean that it is everywhere? No, because we don't know how many movements are there, and we don't know how popular this movement is. We just talk about activists, maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 1,000. We don't know the number. We don't know whether it is popular everywhere. We don't know whether it is predominant. So support the assertion the two movements were popular, predominant. It doesn't. Does it support that two movements are hostile? They are unfriendly? No, we don't have a clue for that. Okay, then what is the answer? Same as it goes with underscore. Underscores lay emphasis to that diffuse, inimical, predominant. The same logic can be applied and eliminate. Okay, then let's take undermines. Proves wrong. Proves wrong the assertion. What does it prove wrong? The activists in one group are also actively participating in another movement. So that means these two movements were not against each other. Right? Can I get that? Can I get that understanding? Just because we are all in one group, and then we are also member of another group. So that means these two movements, these two groups are not against each other. Their demands, their way of working are similar, if not the same. So answer is undermines and inimical. So what does it require here to answer this question? Do you understand the reason? I just apply, okay, the activists in this movement are also participating in another movement. So that means these two movements are not hostile, are not inimical. Can I safely derive this reason? Yeah, I'll explain. Okay, temperance, that all name of the movement. There is no need to worry about that now. So I'm saying, just because activists involved in both the movements, actively participating in both the movements, these two movements are not against each other. Right? Yeah, Jairam, we should not go by words. We should not go by isolated words. Jairam asked me a question. The word energetic says the sentence is positive. Need not necessarily be. Say, I give an example. This guy is hardily energetic. Just because the word energetic is there, can you say this is positive? No. I put a word hardily. Right? So don't go by words. Go by the whole understanding of the sentence structure. Yeah, Neha asked a very pertinent question. Because people take part in both the movements, it means they are popular. Very, very logical. But how many people? Does it say all the people in the country participate? If that is so, I can say they are predominant. Can you prove that these movements are predominant in the society? Is there a clue for that? I'm saying the activists in that movement. How many activists? Are we talking about 2 or 1,000 or crore? Is there any clue for that? No. Predominant is most significant, popular. All right. So that's where you understand why reasoning is being needed. Get the detail, think very coolly, go by the data given, don't go by things you understand from your experience. Just go by what is given there. Okay? So, no, I'm not saying they are powerful. I'm saying they are not inimical. Inimical means they are not hostile. They are not fighting each other. They are not unfriendly. You need to practice, Neha. You need to practice so many questions like that. If you do 10, 20 questions like this, paying attention to these details, I'm sure your focus of attention will become much, much better. Right? Okay. So do you understand? Do you agree with me? These are the skills required. That's an agenda of that discussion. So I hope I have given that understanding to you. To answer text completion questions, we require four skills. The first one is vocabulary. Second one is ability to understand the indicators, whether it goes this way or that, positive or negative, contrast. And understand the rarely used structures, ability to know that. Okay, and then secondary meanings of the word, then logical reasoning. If you understand logical reasoning, if you are able to get it, you will be able to answer higher difficulty level questions. The answer for the last question is undermines and inimical. I hope this the session you find it useful. Right? I'll pass on to Mano, and she will explain how these words are learned. How do we do that? So we have a tool where we will introduce all those. How can we learn these secondary meanings of the word? And how do we remember all the words? So many words are there. So she will explain those, and she will explain the other details. Okay, the answer for this question, Surabhi, undermines and inimical. Okay, if you have any questions, maybe if we have time, we'll take that. Okay, or you can send it to us, we'll answer those questions if you have any specific questions on that. Okay, and thank you very much, and thank you for your participation. I'll pass on to Mano now.
Hi guys. I see a lot of you are very engrossed in answering these questions. I hope you had a very brilliant session, isn't it? I've been observing this session. Yes? Okay, I also see that some of you have joined in between and some of you wanted this content. So how many of you would appreciate to have this recording of this seminar? How many of you would find it useful? Okay, so what I would do is I'll send a link. Okay, I'll SMS this YouTube link of this seminar tomorrow. So you can all access this link and then you can listen it whenever you want, and you can understand it even better. Will that be fine? Very good. Now guys, initially sir told that you have to have a very rich vocabulary. So most of you here would already be aware about this GRE Edge word bot. How many of you know about GRE Edge word bot? Okay, some of you know and some of you do not know. And in the beginning of the seminar, I shared a few links. I'll share those links once again. You can use these links and then you can just copy paste these links and you'll get it all. You can access it whenever you want. I'm sharing with all of you now. Now let us discuss about this GRE Edge word bot. Before that, how many of you feel learning words is really taxing? Neha, Mini, Smita, lot of you. Definitely learning that to 3,500 GRE words definitely should be taxing. So, okay, now I'll give you one alternative solution. If you have a tool which has all the GRE words and with pictures to help you to remember, with the meaning, with the secondary meaning, and also alerts to remind you that you should revise, and lots of more other benefits, how would you feel? Wouldn't that help you? Would be helpful? Wouldn't that be great? And that tool is none other than the GRE Edge WordBot. I've shared it already with all of you. I'll share that WordBot link with all of you now. Now, this tool, if I just say this is a picture-based word list, I'm definitely underestimating the power of this tool. So how many of you would definitely want to know how to utilize this WordBot to the maximum so that you excel in your GRE verbal reasoning section? Mini immediately said me. So shall we all have a quick demo of the WordBot? Alright, now I've shared the link of WordBot to all of you. You can use it later on. Now you need not use it. Now I've logged in using my WordBot account. Okay, I'll show a demo of this WordBot to all of you. Right? Now as soon as you log into the WordBot, this is how the screen will look like. Okay? Can you all see that? Can you all see a screen? Yes. So the first part, the part where I am moving my cursor, my mouse, is the learn part. You will learn words at this stage. I'm clicking on that button learn. If you click on that, you can see words. You can see words that you've learned. You can see words that you have not learned. Some important words, words that you found very difficult to memorize. Such words you should learn. And WordBot also suggests you whether which word you should learn, which word you've not spent much time on. So this also suggests you. Let's see one example. So as soon as you click on this word learn, you get all these words. See, can you see that? I'm scrolling. Can you see the words, GRE words? Yes? Alright, which word shall we choose? Which word? Whichever one you want. Okay, let us choose deterrent. Okay? So, this word, I've chosen this word. You see a picture on the left hand side. You see the parts of speech of this word. I'm sorry, I did something. Right? And yes, Suhas, it includes most of your GRE words. I'll tell about that later. You find a meaning, synonym, antonym, and you can even check the pronunciation of this word. Okay, so like this, you have all these GRE words. Most of the GRE words, I should say, in the link you have got, you will find 300 GRE words. Now let us get back to the revision part. So how many of you feel remembering words is even more challenging than learning words? Ashish immediately said yes. Me, very much says Mayana. Okay, so you should revise, isn't it? You have to then click on the word, click on the box revise, and then you will be in the same page only. You will again look at the words that you learned, and you will also see WordBot suggestion. Now, you cannot have one person monitoring you always. Okay, whether you're learning words or whether you remember words, you can't have a person to monitor you. You can monitor your preparation on your own using this test option. So if you keep testing you, whether you're learning, testing your progress with GRE, how would it be? Wow, isn't it? Wouldn't it be like that, like Maynak says? Now under test also you have lot of options. You have to, if you want to test your basic words that you have mastered, words that you have not mastered. Okay, in the GRE exam you have easy words, you have difficult words. So each of these you can keep learning. Even under the test you have various words. Now if you, for example, just click on one test. Now you find the meaning of funnel, right? So you would have learned it somewhere. You just have to right. So this word is integrated, like it keeps monitoring your performance. Okay, we have a technology called millisecond monitoring technology. This keeps monitoring your performance, how you learn, how you uh, uh, remember, how you perform. Everything is monitored by this technology. That is how it is able to monitor. So how many of you would use it from today onwards for your GRE? Alright, so definitely all of you should use it and excel in your GRE exam. Now how many of you found today's workshop to be very mind-blowing, and definitely you will say that if I have attend workshops like this, I will definitely score better. How many of you feel so? Flattered says Kishore. Alright. So how many of such workshops do you want so that you score better in the GRE exam? How many such workshops you want? Just give me some number. Don't say 100. Shrikant says 5, 20, 10. Most of you say 10. Okay. Now, I'll tell you that you have 12 such workshops, okay, with experts like Sentinel, and for quant separately, for verbal separately, for 12 weeks, okay. So I'll just show you one example of a plan. Tell me whether it would work for you or not. So if you are able to see the plan, it will be great. First 12 weeks, the second column, there are 12 verbal workshops. Under each you will be learning. Today we studied sentence equivalence and text completion. Like that you will have 12 workshops, and you will be practicing for that 1 week. Okay, for that entire 1 week you will have a plan. You will practice exactly what was discussed. You will master it. And within 12 weeks, and for that particular session, what are the words required are shared with you using this word list, and it is enough if you learn only these word lists for that particular week. After the completion of these 12 weeks, wouldn't you be able to even take the GRE exam directly? Will that give you so much confidence? Yes, says Neha. Abhilasha also agrees. But we don't let you like that. We also give you some style tests. These style tests will help you to practice and implement all these skills acquired, and then you will face the GRE exam. So this is how we train students at GRE Edge, especially with a program called GRE 12 by 12. This is a plan which we adopt for the GRE 12 by 12. We have 12 workshops like this on each topic. After 12 weeks, you will be able to answer and take a lot of tests, and directly you can go to the GRE exam hall and reach your target score. So how many of you really feel that it really happened, feel as if it really happened? Ashish felt so. So this is how we help you guys, and this GRE Edge 12 by 12 program. Yes, Ashish, this is 12 workshops for quant separately, 12 weeks, one workshop per week, and for that 1 week you will be practicing. Okay, and you will also be learning words. In case of quant, you will be learning the necessary formula. I've shared the contact details of GRE Edge. Alright, all the best for your GRE. It was really nice having you all here. I felt really happy for giving you some information through Sendil sir, and definitely Sendil sir would remember the session, because today is his he is completing his 7th year today, so at GRE Edge. So this day would definitely turn out to be a memorable day for all of us today. So really, it's really good to be a part of it, and it's also good to have you all to be a part of it. All the best once again, guys. Take the GRE exam confidently and reach your target score successfully. All the best once again from GRE Edge. Thank you for attending the seminar.